Welcome to My Healing is Your Healing, a podcast for the woman who is ready to stop performing and reclaim her voice. I'm your host, Celeste, and around here, we don't do surface level. We go deep. Each week, we'll explore concepts like self-discovery, radical honesty, and the kind of healing that rewrites your story from the inside out. This is a space for truth-telling, for remembering who you are, and for coming home to yourself, louder, braver, and more radiant than ever. So come as you are, and let's do this together. Let's begin. Welcome back to My Healing is Your Healing. I am Celeste, and this is episode 7. Today, we're diving into a voice that you know intimately, but maybe you've never questioned. It's not your partner, not your mom or your ex or your boss. It is the voice in your head that's been narrating your entire life without your permission. You know the one. Maybe she sounds like your mom, or your third grade teacher, or your old coach, or your ex, your manager from that job that you absolutely hated. Or maybe she sounds like you on your worst day, after 3 hours of doom scrolling, 0 water, and no snacks. She says things like, "You're behind. Everyone else is better than you. You should have known better. You're not qualified for this. You're too much. You're not enough. You're way too emotional. Don't get your hopes up." They're going to figure out that you have no idea what you're doing. You always mess this up. Do any of those sound familiar? Yeah. And here's the scariest part. We don't even question her. We just let her talk. We hand her the mic, and we let her sit in the front seat of our lives and narrate our story like she is the main character and we're just along for the ride. But today we pause and we ask the question we should have asked a long time ago. Who said that? Where did that voice come from? Why am I letting it speak to me like that? And why on earth am I letting it lead? Because that voice, it's not your truth. It's not your intuition. It is not you. Today, we're not just talking about the inner critic. We're unlearning her. We're turning her volume down. We're rewriting her script. And we're going to remind ourselves that that voice in your head, it's not the real you. It's just the version of you that thought she had to be that way to survive. So, what is the inner critic really? Let's break this one down. Your inner critic is not your intuition. It's not your higher self, and it's definitely not your truth. It's just a protective mechanism, a part of your nervous system that formed in response to fear, shame, trauma, rejection, failure, or just growing up in a world that told you, don't be too much, don't be too loud, and do not get it wrong. The inner critic was born the moment you experienced pain or rejection, and your body whispered, "Let's never let that happen again." She's the voice that says, "Don't speak up. Remember what happened last time? Don't show too much. They don't like it when you're like that. Don't try. It's safer not to fail. Don't hope. It hurts when you get let down." She's not evil. She's just outdated. She's like an old GPS system that still thinks the freeway is under construction. She's trying to reroute you based on detours that don't even exist anymore. And bless her, she means well. But she's stuck in the past. The inner critic is the voice of your past, trying to protect you from a future you haven't even lived yet. She is reacting to memory. Possibility. She's operating on expired data. And here's the thing. Because she's loud and because she's familiar, we start to believe she's right. But she's not right. She's just rehearsed. She's the echo of every time you were told you were too much or not enough, the chorus of every moment you felt unseen or misunderstood or unworthy. And now she plays on a loop. On the way to a job interview, before a first date, when you're trying something new, or even when you're just putting on an outfit that makes you feel good. But tell me this, what would happen if you paused and asked, is this true? And if it's not true, what else could be true? So here's a little bit of background. Psychologically speaking, the inner critic is a well-documented phenomenon, often called the negative internal voice in CBT or tied to the manager role in IFS therapy, internal family systems. It's the voice that develops, usually early in childhood, as a way to keep you safe from disapproval, danger, or failure. They're the safety police. She internalizes things you were told or shown. She mimics voices that you feared, like teachers, who you wanted approval from, or parents who weren't always kind, or peers who made you feel less than or other. And over time, she just becomes your default narrator. But here's your truth. The inner critic is a voice of your past, trying to protect you from a future you've never even lived yet. She doesn't actually know what's possible. She only knows what hurt you in the past. She's retro, baby, and she is loud. But we don't have to kill her. We just have to stop letting her run the show. We have to update that script. First, you also have to hear her. So let's start here. When did you first hear her speak? Whose voice does she sound like? Was it your mom, or a teacher, or a childhood bully? Who made you first feel like you weren't enough, or you weren't safe, you weren't allowed to be your full self? Who shamed your sensitivity or your ambition, your creativity, your body, your voice? If you can pinpoint that moment or even the vibe, then you've got a clue. So let's take it one step further. Let's name her. Yeah, I'm serious. Naming your inner critic is one of the most powerful ways to externalize her voice, so you can begin to separate her from your truth. Mine, her name is Chelsea. And you'll hear me talk about Chelsea a lot. Chelsea is my past self. She is the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the overachiever, the one who bends and breaks and edits herself to be liked. And I call her Chelsea for a reason, because for years, I let people mispronounce my name. Celeste became Chelsea, because correcting them felt confrontational. It felt like too much. So letting them misname me was a micro act of self-abandonment. It was me shrinking to keep the peace. It was me saying, you don't have to know who I really am. I'll just make it easier for you. And now, when I hear that voice in my head say something like, don't speak up, you're going to make them uncomfortable, I say, hey, Chelsea, I see you. I know you're trying to help, but I've got this now. And that is the power of naming her. Because when you name her, you stop confusing her with you. So I want to get really honest here. Let's get brutally honest. What is this voice costing you? Because when we live with an unchecked inner critic, when we let her run the show, here's what it costs us. We've got a few different things. The first one is chronic self-doubt. You question everything. You wonder what to wear, what to say, what you should have said. You rewrite your text messages 5 times and you still feel like you're too much. The second thing is inaction or paralysis. You overthink every decision and then you don't make one at all. You abandon your own ideas before they ever get to breathe. The third thing is over-apologizing. You say sorry. When you walk into a room, you apologize for having needs. You apologize for existing at all. 4 is perfectionism. You keep tweaking or editing or prepping or stalling because putting something out there means it could get judged. And judgment feels like danger. 5, overthinking everything. You spiral. What if I said the wrong thing? What if they don't like me? What if I'm not good enough? It just goes on and on and on. 6, you can't celebrate your wins because no matter what you do, it never feels like enough. There's always something more you should have done. And the big one Number 7, you dim your light. Because that inner voice tells you that you're too much. And instead of arguing back, you believe her. So let me ask you this important question. If someone else talked to you the way that your inner critic does, would you stay? Would you stand up to them? Would you walk away? If the answer is no, then why do you tolerate it from yourself? Okay, so here's everyone's favorite part. Let's add to our healing toolbox. This week, we have 2 powerful tools for shifting your relationship with that voice inside your head. The first one is going to be name and externalize the voice. Remember that these are all going on Instagram as your Toolbox Tuesdays. So if you can't remember all of this, go to the Instagram page and you can find it there at My Healing, Your Healing. Okay, so this first one, naming and externalizing the voice. Start by writing down the top 3 things that your inner critic says to you regularly. You know the ones that are the greatest hits that go through your head. Things like, you're behind, you'll mess this up, you're too much, you don't belong in this room. And once you've written them out, I want you to name the voice. Yes, really, like we talked about before, give her a name, an entire identity if you have to. Like I said, mine is Chelsea. And Chelsea is the version of me that used to please people, overwork, and try way too hard to be liked. But now, when I hear that voice, I say, hi, Chelsea. I see you. I know you're trying to be helpful, but I've got this. Naming your inner critic is powerful because it creates space between you and the voice. And let's not kill her off, but we need to stop giving her the bike. We can acknowledge her, thank her, and then just gently let her know, I'm driving now. The second one is your inner compassion script. The inner critic isn't the only voice that deserves your attention. There's another voice inside of you too. And that's the voice of your inner child, your inner nurturer, your compassionate self. The part of you that knows how to soothe, how to speak your truth gently, how to love yourself through that spiral. So here's your second tool. When the inner critic speaks up, respond with some kind of compassionate statement. And you can come up with one yourself too that resonates with you, but try one of these out. I know you're scared, but we're okay. You're allowed to try. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. That was hard, and I still chose me. I'm learning, I'm growing, and I am enough. Even this version of me is worthy of love. When you speak these to yourself, out loud if you can, or in the mirror, or in your journal, on a walk, let that voice become your new default. Because compassion is not weakness, it's courage. And it's the only way that we can begin to rewire those voices inside. So, in closing, your inner critic is so loud because she's just learned to be. Because at some point, her job was to keep you safe. She's like a panicking mom yelling, "Don't touch the stove." She's not evil, she's just scared, and she's trying to do what she was trained to do, protect you. But healing isn't about silencing her. It's about turning down her volume and turning up the volume to your truth. Because you get to decide who you listen to now. And the more you show up for yourself, the more you speak kindly to yourself, the quieter that old inner critic voice becomes. In fact, she actually begins to change. Because once she realizes that you're no longer in danger anymore, she learns that it's safe to trust you. It's safe to let go. It's safe to evolve. So if this episode touched something tender inside of you, good. That means you're waking up. That means the script inside is shifting. Keep noticing your voice. Keep choosing compassion and rewriting your story. Because your inner critic is not the author of your life. You are. If this episode landed for you, share it with a friend who needs it. Tag me on Instagram at My Healing, Your Healing, or send me a message. I would love to hear what resonated. And if you would like your story featured on a future episode, visit my website and share it with me.
Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and remember, you were never meant to dim your light.
Thanks for tuning in and being here, for healing out loud, and for walking this path beside me. If this episode cracked something open or helped you remember a part of yourself, pass it on and share it with someone you love. For more support, free resources, or the next steps to your journey, head over to my website, myhealingisyourhealing.com. And if you loved today's conversation, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your words help this space grow and help more women find their way home to themselves. If I was your muse today, then my healing is your healing. Until next time.